What is going on, Village? I hope your Sunday is being pleasant or is pleasant. I hope this Sunday is calming and you're getting prepared to go to work tomorrow. So, the video that I told you I was going to upload um, about two different opinions. And the key factor here is two different opinions from two brothers that care about the community. We just go about different ways on how we think we should help said community. So I wanted to put up the video so that you guys can kind of tell me, leave in the comments what you thought about the different ways that said people, myself and Mr. Spurling, are trying to help our community. Now, the one thing I want you guys to keep in mind that there's two brothers that have a lot of respect for each other and love for each other. This was a conversation that was specifically towards black men. Specifically towards black men. Here in the village, we always talk about the bigger picture, about the village. However, this conversation was very specific. And that's okay. It's really okay. So, with that being said, I want you guys to hear this conversation. Please weigh in the comments. Tell me what you thought, the goods, the bad, the pros, the cons, what we can add. And remember, these are two brothers that have respect for each other, even though it's a spirited conversation. No name calling, no anger. This is the way conversations need to be on YouTube. This is the way it needs to be. No anger, no hatred, no malice, no strife. So let's get it.
I appreciate that, man. Bolo TV, man, you've been waiting patiently, man. What are your thoughts on this? I gave 6 pointers for how we can break the psychological chain and put on black men by the matriarchy, something that stems all the way back to, our time when we were chained up here in the United States, because other black men around the world don't really act like this. You can't tell. They ain't going for it, it's just us. So what do you think, Bolo T? What do you think about those 6 pointers?
The 6 pointers you gave were very astute. They were very good pointers. I think that we need 2 more at least on that list. 7, taking accountability, and 8, learning to love yourself first.
Well, I think doing for yourself incorporates loving yourself first. And I don't think black men have a problem with accountability. I think we're held accountable for stuff that we didn't even do.
Well, let me explain what I mean.
Doing for yourself incorporates loving yourself first. They make us accountable for stuff we had nothing to do. Matter of fact, we talked about that earlier. Think about it. We're deadbeat daddies, but 51% of black men don't even have children, and 31% of black men are married and live with their wives. So that's 82%. So you're saying roughly 18% of black men, and even those men, if you look at the studies from 2015, the CDC put out a report that said black men are the most involved fathers. So how do we get the reputation of being deadbeat dad? They put us on. They make us accountable for things we didn't even do. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know, but go ahead. Let's see what you think.
Well, I agree with some of the things you said. What I'm talking about is us as men talking to each other, right? The one thing I didn't hear Afro Patriarchy say that when he was going through what he was going through as a young man is I didn't hear him say he spoke to his father. I heard him say he spoke to teachers and he spoke to his friends. A lot of us don't have that example of what a good man is in the home. So we're raised by our mothers and we take the mental and we take the tendencies of women and we grow up as such.
Well, I think I've spoke with him dozens of times here. He has grandfathers, uncles, and his father in his life. He's a black man of Haitian descent.
I'm Haitian.
So,
yeah, I'm just going off what he said. Now,
I just want to say that I had a lot of strong masculine role models.
That's why he was able to do that. That's why he was able to do that. But go ahead.
But here's the thing: not too many of our black brothers can do that. Not too many of the youngins have that option. A lot of them are in the streets, like I heard you say earlier. A lot of these men are being ostracized by women, mothers, and these are the men that they're creating because they're being raised without fathers. So the reason why I said,
why are they being raised without fathers? I know where you're going with this. You're saying we need to be accountable. Why are they being raised without fathers?
I'll tell you why. There are things where mothers just don't give a rat's ass. You know, we understand that portion of it. So
parental alienation. Go ahead.
Right. So we ain't gonna even argue that thing, because you know, when that's a moot point, because we know that there's women that just seek to marry the government and get that check. I get that.
That's a lot of them.
A lot of them, a whole lot. What I'm saying is the OGs need to reach back to these young G's and start to mentor, like you said the last time you and I had this conversation. The mentorship, the breaking the hold, right? To letting them know what it is to be a man. Now I understand traveling the earth helps you.
Why though? Why should these brother?
You gotta let me finish.
No, I'm not. We're gonna talk this point by point. Why is it that these men are obligated to come back and save these children of these women who are ruining them? That's the question.
Reach out. My statement was reach out to these young brothers. I didn't say reach out to the children.
Why should they be obligated to do it?
Same reason why you have this platform. Where
I'm not obligated to do it. I'm doing it out of choice. Why should they be obligated to do it?
Because I'm my brother's keeper, brother.
No, you know where that quote comes from? That comes from after Cain. Let me finish. That comes from after Cain slew Abel, and then God asked him, "Where's your brother?" And he said, "Am I my brother's keeper?" So you still haven't answered the question, brother. Why should these black men be obligated to come back and save these children, these young boys in the black community? Why? I know I'm doing it. I got my reasons for doing it, and that's okay. But why? Why should they do it?
I'm going to answer you. One of your reasons you gave was, I'm doing it personally because I don't want one of these cats to run into my sons. Did you not say that?
Yeah, that's for selfish reasons.
Cool. What I'm saying to you is there's
nothing noble about why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for selfish reasons.
Mr. Spurling.
Yes, sir.
You gotta allow me to speak, brother, because every time I try to speak, you cut me off, and it's
cutting you off, brother.
Everybody else can speak, and you never cut them off.
I'm cutting you off because you're making points. You're basically trying to blame these black men for the condition of the community, and I'm telling you, these women, you're taking the agency away from these women who decided to have these children out of wedlock. You can't force these black men to come back in. Most of these black men barely escaped the black community. They weren't raised. They were simply maintained to a certain point and then pushed out in the world and told to be a man. And they're escaping. Now you're telling these men who were sentenced to be in the 64% of the middle class and 20% of you telling them they're obligated to come back to the black community and save a bunch of children that were seeded by Pookie and Ray Ray types who were irresponsible choices made by these women. That's irresponsible of you to do that. Why are they obligated to do it? That's the question. Why are they obligated to do it?
If you let me speak without cutting me off, I can give you an answer.
Go ahead.
All right. You just said one of the reasons why you do it.
You tell me why they're obligated.
Wow, brother. You gotta let me speak.
Go ahead,
please. One of the reasons is why I don't want my son running into one of these knuckleheads that can take his life. So you know what? I'm going to jump into the trenches, reach these young men so that hopefully one day that young kid ain't the one that robs my son or robs my daughter. That's one of them. Second,
self-preservation.
It's about being a village. It's about every one of us loving each other. Back in the Jim Crow, if Ray Ray's son did something wrong and Mr. Spurling saw him do something wrong, he got his behind whipped. And then when he was brought to his mother and daddy, he got his behind whipped there too. The point of the matter is, when we were brought into slavery,
there are two reasons.
All right, right. Well, you're not going to give me that much time because I know there's other people on the panel.
We on you now. Those are two reasons. What do you have anymore?
The point of the matter is, this is the overall point, that when we look out for one another, we were taught to be separated and segregated. No other nation goes through what we go through. So we have to combat that. And it starts with teaching you how to love yourself, knowing your worth so you can demand your value. I shouldn't have to go to the Dominican Republic as a man to know what my value is here in America. Now, I understand that there's women that are off the chain.
What is your value here in America, Bolo TV?
What's my value? I teach, I lead, I provide, I decide, and I guide my family.
What exactly does that mean?
That means that I make sure my family's taken care of. That means that I'm the head of my household. That means I honor God and my Lord and Savior. That's what that means. That means that
How old are you? How long and when did you learn that in your life?
I learned that very young because my father was in my life.
Okay. And
I learned that very young.
How did your father teach you to value yourself? What did he do?
He was the example. When I looked at him and I seen what he did as a man and how he kept his house in order, how he dealt with his wife,
how did he deal with his wife that you learned from, that you picked up?
In other words, I'll tell you, what he did was he honored her, reverenced her, put her in order when she was out of order.
How did he put her in order, brother?
Well, she did something wrong. She corrected her.
How did he correct her, brother?
He spoke to her sternly. Okay. That's what he did. So in other words, meaning this, a woman is going to follow power. That's what women follow. So if you know who you are as a man, I don't care how much money you got, bro. There's always someone that got more money than you. So if you go get a woman and she's submissive to you because of your money, some other dude that got more bread than you is going to take her. The reason why
are you finished making your points? Are you finished making your points?
I don't understand why every time you and I
talk, you said self-preservation and you said village concept. Because brother, you coming in here and this is a veiled attempt to blame these black men.
No, it's not.
Are you finished making your point? Are you finished making your point?
That's your question. Ray,
making your point. Yes or no? Yes or no?
I'm not done.
Okay, make your point and then I'm going to respond.
Okay, cool. Ray made a conscious decision to sleep with that thought. He made a conscious decision to sleep with that woman that wouldn't be a good mother, that he should have known that's going to take him for child support. If he had a father in the home,
Ray don't pay child support. Ray don't have a job. Go ahead.
And they're going to put him in jail because he doesn't have a job. The point I'm trying to make is you got to deal with the root of the problem. The root of the problem is some of these men, and again, like I said, we already know women are the problem in some issues, in most issues. But some of these men are making a conscious decision to sleep with these women who are not good mothers or good people.
So those men, go ahead.
You got to deal with the ramifications of the choices you make. That's all I'm saying, brother.
Okay, great. Okay, great. You got it. Okay, my brother, you got it. Are you made your point finished?
I can respond to that.
Okay, let me respond. So first thing he says is this, that the reason you brothers are responsible for coming back to save the black community is for self-preservation. Now, here's the thing, brothers. I've used that before. The truth is, I have enough money to leave the country. I have enough money to separate myself and my children and my family away from the situation. We live in a black community, but we live in an upper middle class black community. This is where we are. Now, unfortunately, they still will interact with my other brothers out there who've had a tough going up, so to speak. But that's still not a good enough reason for me to tell you brothers, hey, this is in your, basically I'm using fear to tell you guys that you need to go out there and save the community. The next thing is the brother said the village concept. The village concept, hey, we are all one village and we need to come and take care of each other. The truth is we were never a village. We were a crisis center. We were pushed together because of segregation. We were enslaved and we were housed together, but we were different Africans from different tribes brought and meshed together in these slave ships brought to this country, and we were basically trauma bonded. And so at the soonest, the quickest out, as soon as we were presented with the opportunity to separate from each other, we did. After segregation ended, we separated. We really don't want to be around each other. If you listen to Neely Fuller, he says black people shouldn't come together unless it's for something positive, and then we should separate. I had to think about that for a little while. Now, the other thing the brother said is that Ray reproduced with this stock, and Ray had a baby by this stock. And yeah, whether or not Ray is on child support, maybe he'll pay it, maybe he won't. But my question is, why should John Smith, Malika, be responsible for taking care of Ray's child? That's my thing. And there is no doubt. If somebody like me decides that I want to do it, that's fine, but I'm not obligated to do it.
I can be obligated.
I can do this if I choose to, but you're not obligated to do it. You black men you have given enough to this country. You fought in each and every war. You did slavery damn near by yourself all the way up until the last 50 years. when they start bringing black women over to this country, and they had the breeding farms back in 1808. You've done enough. You are free now. You are not obligated to come back and save a community which is on its way down, for which you've been pushed out of the family structure. The government, the women made a deal. They had a social contract. They broke the contract with us. They took a better deal from the government. That's what we've been talking about. And the reason that sometimes when I hear brothers say these things, I cut them off because I've heard these arguments 1,000 times before. And at this point, it's like, we don't need to spread this anymore. That's not what this page is about. We've heard that rhetoric before. We've heard that pull yourself up by the bootstraps. It's hard to do that when you got a boot in your face pushing you down.
You were the same dude that said last time I spoke to you.
Afro Patriarch, would you like to add to this? And then we'll let Bolo respond. Go ahead, Afro Patriarch. You wanted to say something? Who was that wanted to say something?
Oh, it was me.
Oh, go ahead, Bolo.
Who was that? Go ahead.
Talking about me, yeah, this is J Line. I was just on another panel. It was from the UK. The problem is, it was like that. You in a white country, Western society. You're in individualism, and the fact of the matter is that like a lot of black people are individuals in this culture, and I think you don't have an infrastructure. So the environment, we don't control the infrastructure. So my thing is that like even we do individually, what you call it, do the mentorship, it still won't be enough in a sense, because I was saying that like, because you're talking about each person will have to do that, and you have I think I think one solution will be having an understanding of an extended family, like when I was in while I was in Africa.
I'm gonna let Bolo TV respond to you, since you directed that towards him. Bolo TV, would you like to respond to J Line Menelik?
Sure, I'll respond. First of all, when we were in Jim Crow, we had a village. We were in a better situation systematically than we're in right now. We had more together families then than we do right now. So when we integrated, and like Dennis said, when our women married the government, they found a better man.
Hold on, let him respond, Jay Miller. Go ahead, Bo.
They found a better man, according to them, which was the government. It gave them freedom and liberty to do what the hell they want, say what the hell they want, and gallivant and do whatever. And they didn't look at us as men. They didn't revere us as their head anymore. Cool. I understand that. My point of the matter is, for me to understand my value and know what my value and demand my worth, I don't need to go to a third world country to do that. Now, if I know what my worth is as a man, if I go to a third world country, I'm going to look for a woman because I know what a good woman is.
No,
I'm not going to go to a woman. Wow.
You're Haitian, right, bro?
Yes, I am, sir.
So your father's Haitian?
Yes, he is.
So you didn't have to go to a third world country. That patriarchy that he brought from that country was instilled in you.
Correct.
A lot of these Black American men don't have that.
And that's exactly the point that I made 15 minutes ago before you cut me off.
Why can't they go to these third world countries and see how men are treated there? Men that look like them and learn. I'm
going to tell you why. The reason why, when you decide to go to a third world country and you see that setup, cool. I'm not saying seeing the setup in live Memorex will not help somebody. You're correct. It's 100%. Experience is the best teacher. I get it. But but the point is, that still doesn't teach you how to be a man and honor that. You learn from watching your father. Your children are going to learn how to be a man from watching you.
Father who was from Haiti, who was clearly a strong man and instilled some manly traits in you, and that's why you're the way you are. Many of these Black American men, many of these ADOS, American descendants of slaves, foundational Black American, they didn't have that. And what I'm telling them to do is go immerse themselves in that country, see how these men are treated, see how this culture treats these men, and then once you do that, you will change, and you can't go back to being mistreated.
But it brings me back to the same question. It brings me back to the same. There's nothing wrong, but it brings me back to the same question I asked you before when we had this last conversation. What if that Black man cannot afford to go to that third world country to observe this? Where does he get that information and that tutelage from?
I understand that.
So
And
answer that
so
question, please.
in a situation like that, what you do is you separate yourself from these lovely ladies who are treating. You find those type of people, those people from those countries, and you find yourself one of those women. And if that's what you choose to marry,
So in
or
other
don't
words,
marry.
so you're saying don't find. So in other words, you're saying if those women are treating me the way I don't want to be treated here in the States, go
Right.
find me a woman of one of those third country descendants and have them treat me. So you're not saying have that brother learn
I think
how
I've
to be
I've always said that the vast majority of black men aren't going to be able to leave this country just because it's not feasible. But what I am saying, I am telling these brothers is, and what I often tell them is that they need to get the education or get their businesses going and travel the world before they decide to get married. That's one of the things that I tell them. And hopefully they will go to these less developed countries with black and brown people, and they'll see how black men are treated, and they'll learn. Yeah, I get it. Most black men, most people, most Americans won't travel to another country, but there's enough of them that will, that the message will get back, and they'll know they should be treated.
Well, if
But
that's
I want
possible,
to let Afro Patriarchy address you, and then you can come back and address him.
Yes,
so Afro
yeah,
go ahead and
yeah.
you
I'm broke.
Go ahead.
I'm broke. Like, I mean, job wise, I'm broke. I may have some investments here and there, but I'm broke. I plan to travel still. I plan to go and immerse myself. I mean, I'm Haitian. I've lived outside the country before twice already, so it's not a big deal. But I get where he's coming from. But when there's a will, there's a way. When there's a will, there's a way. And hell, if people come in here illegally, you can escape the country illegally. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, these people come into this country. I got relatives who in here illegally, yo. So I'm like, so to me, we're saying, you know, I'm saying, hey man, you know, there's a boat off the Florida Keys, you know, go to Cuba.
I don't condone that, okay?
You know, there's a boat.
Not gonna
There's
jeopardize
a
my
boat off
life.
the Florida.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying that the will is the way. So to me, I'm just
where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, we get
there's a will, there's a way. So to me, it's, you know, if it's that bad for you here, and I've come to the realization, like, it's bad. It's really gotten bad. I don't know if Bolo have been dating for how long he's been away, but it's gotten awful. It's gotten like psychologically awful.
All right, I'm gonna let Bolo TV respond to Afro Patriarch, and then John Smith wants to respond to Bolo. So quickly, Bolo TV, please respond to Afro Patriarch, and then we're gonna let John. I don't want this to go 2 hours. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Okay, first off, let me say this: Afro Patriarchy. I live like Dennis Spurling. I live in a high-end black community. I do travel the earth. But the point of the matter is, I know that there's other black men that can't do it or won't be able to do it, or their mind frame. We have to break the chains off their minds. It's not about taking responsibility for what a woman does wrong. It's about opening their minds and letting them know who they are, where they come from, and their value. That's the whole point. That's all I'm saying. Knowing their value as a man. Because when I know my value as a man, there's damn sure I'm not going to take no nonsense from no woman. That's the point.
But brother, they don't know their value as a man.
That's why that village mentorship is important.
Johnson, have you ever?
I just want to say one thing. I'm in a group of. I'm in a group of. I think we have 115 right now, but active members right now is like 18. We have all ages, 40, 44, 43 to 18 in our group. And I get where you come from, Bolo, but if we got like young guys in there, I'm learning things from younger guys in there who've been through when the stuff they're telling me, because they're Gen Z. People have dropped the ball with Generation Z, but these young guys have inspired me so much because they're learning things off the internet. Yeah, they're forming businesses. They're doing things that I know. I'm just saying that I don't know about the mental thing, but I'm just saying that Gen Z right now are determined to win.
Yeah,
they're determined to win.
I want to Afro Pay. I appreciate that point. I want to let John Smith get in. He's been waiting patiently to address Bolo TV, and then we're going to move on to aircraft. We'll let Bolo TV respond. Then we're going to move on to aircraft and. So, John Smith, you want to chime in? You had a point you wanted to make as to something that Bolo TV said.
Yes. I mean, we were having a great discussion until we kind of got sidetracked into the space of, I guess, someone's personal vendetta. I don't know what it is, but
no, Bolo TV and I, we go back and forth. It's cool. It's not a personal vendetta. This is just. Yeah, we just, you know, it's just a spirited conversation. I kind of already know where he's coming from, and I just naturally no animosity.
You know, I would, you know, propose to the gentleman. I mean, has he ever, you know, been on the front lines dealing with these young men that have been raised by these you know, thoughts? I mean, I've been involved in coaching and sports for over, you know, close to 25 years. And I'm telling you, you know, the kids that, like, from our generation, my coach told us one thing: we're ready to run through a wall for them. And these kids these days, I'm telling you right now, if you're not a woman, if you're not a white man, these kids, you have to pretty much show and prove what you know, what your worth is right then and there. You know, they're not going to, they're not, you know, this whole, it takes a village, it takes a village. Taking a village, that's a social contract amongst everyone. You know, and if that social contract is not honored by one person, it's void. So you can't put that on, you know, as Mr. Spurling said, these black men to kind of corral and get together to, we're going to do this. Yeah, you do that and you're going to be in jail if you go and talk to one of these kids wrong.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't put that on us. And that's the only point I would like to make. If you're not on the front lines doing this every day, like I am,
right,
then you don't have, you really don't have a say in that space.
All right,
so what you're talking about is theory and not
you'll be able to respond when he finishes.
You know, you're talking about theory and not application. You know, and then of course about not going to third world countries and all this other stuff, and how do men, you know, and how do men are supposed to learn how to be men from other men. You know, how long does it take a soldier to learn how to kill? How long does it take a police officer, you know, how to get trained to go out there and shoot somebody? It doesn't take long. All you need is exposure, and that's what Mr. Spurling's platform is offering: the exposure. So once your mind moves, your body moves. And so you got to take it in. We're taking steps, but it's not going to happen overnight. And, you know, if you know anything about planning, you know, and planning and execution, from the planning phase to the execution phase, there's a whole other bunch of steps in between that. So that's, Mr. Spurling, that's all I wanted to bring out.
I appreciate that. Bolo, would you like to address John Smith? And look, guys, we are 13 minutes over.
I'll make this short. I'll make it short, I promise. Yeah. All right. I really appreciate your question. Secondly, I am on the front lines. I have a channel where I talk about mental disease and mental illness, where I do counsel black men, and it comes out of my pocket. I do that with children here where I live, here in New York City. So I am on the front lines, my brother. So this is not something that isn't theory. This is fact, what I'm telling you. They need and they see an example. So when you sit there and you say that it takes time, you are 100% correct. It does take time because you have to deprogram what they've been programmed to do, programmed to see. Mr. Spurling has 2 sons. His sons are learning so much from their father, from that example of a man. This is not me trying to take red pill. See, you guys are listening to me emotionally. I never said to you, don't go to a third world country. I said, what about those brothers that can't? You guys are hearing things that I'm not saying. So what I'm saying to you is, before you say I'm not on the front line, go to my channel and check it out. I'm on the front lines day in and day out, and I don't ask anybody for money. I do it out of my pocket.
I appreciate that, brother.
Thank you, brother.
One correction. My sons learn from other men who are strong, you know, but I'm able to pay for that. I'm able to pay for them to go to these karate, martial arts places. I'm able to pay for them to go so they can be around these strong men. I'm able to pay for them to go with me overseas to different countries so that they can experience, so they can see now what it feels like to be treated. Because see, when we do go overseas, they also get treated with that reverence that men in the Dominican Republic and Colombia are treated with. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and run this video so you guys can see me and my boys overseas and the way they're treated. And you can tell by the smiles on their faces that they're being treated well. So I'm telling you as a father, it's only so much I can tell them. Okay, they have to actually feel it. This is them in Colombia in my apartment down there. That's them in front of the Central Square in Bogota, Colombia. They feel how it feels to be treated with respect. It's not just about me telling them, it's about them feeling it. They get catered to, they get treated well. And so because of that, you know, I don't have to talk as much. So it's one thing, and that's great that you got a TV show and you don't ask, or you got a channel and you don't ask money. I do. And the reason I do is because I know that they appreciate what I'm doing if they're contributing. And most people
that
do
wasn't
that.
a jig at you. That wasn't.
I know, brother. Here, let me finish. And I appreciate that you don't do that. That's wonderful. The other thing is, you know, it's great just having you brothers here. And if we disagree, that's fine. We don't have Bolo TV. He's an opinionated man, and I appreciate him speaking his opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, let's not be disrespectful to our brothers on this page. That's the one thing I want you guys to do. Even if we disagree, you don't want to be disrespectful, because that creates that kills the vibe that I have here. You know, I love all of you brothers. Whether I agree with you or not, I still appreciate you speaking up for yourself. And that's important. That's the most important. We have to begin to be respectful to each other. The most important thing I want you to learn about my page is to respect your fellow brothers, even if you disagree. Yeah, I might cut him off. Yeah, he might overtalk me. It don't matter. We're still speaking to each other, and we're still exchanging ideas, and we're doing it from a place of love. This is where we are. So yeah, I might disagree with Bolo TV, but you don't hear me calling him names. He not calling me names. We just disagreeing with each other. So take that as a lesson. Learn this. You can learn more from this 20-minute exchange, which is taking us all off course.
I apologize.
And you know, but it's all good. You know, but God bless you. I appreciate you, man. You're always welcome back. And this is okay. This is okay, brothers. This is okay. All right. So let's you know, I love my brothers. I know you guys. I put a video on that Minister Jap. I put a video defending Minister Jap from that from that reverend over in Atlanta. And then, you know, Minister Jap I don't agree on brothers traveling overseas, but I still love Minister Jap, and I appreciate his words. He's brilliant. You know, I don't think Kevin Samuels is got a chance in hell in changing some of these women's minds because they're too entrenched. But I appreciate his work, and it's a beautiful thing, and I think he's brilliant. You see what I mean? I don't agree with BGS hiding from us. I want to see our leaders, but I still think he's brilliant, and he's a beautiful man. These are all people that I have great respect for, and I love, and I appreciate, and I've learned so much from them. So we can disagree on certain things, certain aspects, certain deliveries, but we can still love each other and treat each other with respect. And I love all of those brothers, and I grow so much. Even Bolo TV, please go and check his channel out, and you know, y'all can check him out. If you disagree with, I just ask you, and if you learn anything from being here on this page, let's learn to be respectful to each other, even when we disagree. Okay, and let's do it in love, because there's enough black men fighting each other, killing each other. You know, it's enough black men turning on each other and emasculating each other. And I'm not reprimanding you, brothers, man. I just want y'all to think about that, please, if you don't mind. But thank you, Bolo T. We're gonna go on to Art Aircraft. And man, you've been waiting patiently, man. I appreciate you, man. What's your thoughts on this? We were talking about validation, and I brought up 6 points. Give your opinion freely, avoiding judging others. Realize that disapproval can be used as a weapon. Be aware of what happens when someone disapproves of you. Do some things for yourself. Fill your life with things that are important. And this in regards to freeing your minds from the psychological chains of the matriarchy. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me clear?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, sir. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, hey, Uncle D. Peace be to you and the brothers on the platform. I'm a little younger. I'm 28 years young.
Right.
Raised by, yeah, so I'm one of the younger guys. I was raised with I come from a French background. My dad immigrated here with my grandfather, settled Louisiana, and then moved to California. But my lovely lady of a mother is Black. So I grew up. The good thing was my mother recognized the abilities of my father and how good of a man he was. So the best thing that she could do for me was to give me to my father and not fight. She had her own problems and her own issues, and kind of I grew up more dominant patriarchy than matriarchy. But me being with my father taught me, hey, that stuff that goes on my mom's side of the family, I can ostracize myself. I can keep myself away from that. And when the BS is going on, my dad taught me, you know, stand by what you believe in. And I wouldn't be the man I am today if it wasn't for that.
All right, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. This is what Bolo was saying. This is what Afro Patriarch was saying. And this is what Aircraft Anna said. They learned this validation. They learned from their fathers. They were validated by their fathers. They got approval from their fathers, so they weren't really seeking approval from women. And that's a beautiful thing. I want to go ahead and get one last person in. Essential Entities, man. Welcome to the page. Thank you so much. It's good to see you here. I'm talking to these brothers today about a conversation.
But me being
I'm talking to them today about how to break the psychological chains of the matriarchy. And I know you came in late, but here's the thing. A lot of Black men, we're beholden to the women in our life. We're beholden to our mothers and our sisters. We feel as though we got to seek their approval. You see, and what I'm trying to do with this group and with these this two-part series is give you, we talked about, you know, examples of when you're doing it. And now what we're doing now is we're talking about ways in which you can break those strongholds, break those chains of the matriarch. One,
All right, guys. So that's the end of the video. So basically what I want you to do is hear the different opinions. And please write your comment. Tell me what you think. Either way. And the most important thing that I want us to take from this is even when we have spirited conversations, even though we do not agree, the whole thing is we're building on love. That's the point. We're building on love. We're not trying to destroy each other. We're not trying to disrespect each other. We're talking out of respect and love. Now, you may have one way of doing things. I may have another way, and he may have another way, and she may have another way. At the end of the day, we know what our goal is. We know what we're trying to do. Let's put our heads together, figure it out. So with that being said, we need to understand that behavior of being a good man or a good woman is a learned behavior. Either way, you can learn to be a bad man or you can learn to be a good man. You can learn to be a good woman or a bad woman. Seldomly do you have, excuse me, young adults that figure it out on their own. They do. There are exceptions to the rule. Here in the village, we speak about the rule, not the exception. We speak about the rule. We speak about the majority, those that can't do it, those that have a hard time doing it. What about them? That's why it's called a village, right? And here's the thing about what he said about God with Cain and Abel. The Lord asked that question because, yes, you are your brother's keeper. What have you done? Where's your brother? If he knew that you weren't your brother's keeper, why would he ask that question? If he knew every man was out there on their own doing their thing, why am I going to ask, where is that person? I'm asking that question because you are your brother's keeper. And that's the whole point. So with that being said, man, thank you. Please like, subscribe, and definitely comment and tell me what your thoughts are. All right? Please leave a comment. Either way. And definitely check out his channel, right? It's Dennis Sperling Unfiltered. There's a good brother. So again, with that being said, thank you so much for being here. I hope your Sunday is great. I hope your week is blessed. Again, I love you. And take care of yourselves and each other. God bless.